Grand evening, everyone. It is Friday, March 6th, 2026. It is 0 hour midnight Central Standard Time here in the United States. I am finally back near my home location, not far from the major city, not too far, more accurately, from the major city and the capital of Texas, Austin. Let's see here. Gotta straighten out a few more things here. Okay. Now, as the title says, some of the main topics, as the title and the thumbnail say, are World War III. Of course, that's what is happening now. Cyber attacks and the Jihad Fatwa that was declared by some ayatollahs in Iran and Iraq. Didn't really know they had more than one ayatollah. They have like a ranking system of ayatollahs. Anyway, that is a, put simply, global jihad now. Let's get through some news and talk about it all. I don't just read these headlines, I do full analysis. I talk about everything and much more. This is initially a live stream recording that is posted to my YouTube channel in the live section once it is completed. Though this live stream recording is live at the time, it is live as I am speaking right now on my YouTube channel. I do try to get on here, let's see, at least Sunday or Monday, almost always Wednesday and Friday, and also as needed for emergency situations, like, say, for example, the U.S. using a nuclear weapon on Iran or Israel. If something, more likely when that happens, I may come on immediately when that happens, almost certainly. I came on here very immediately when the U.S. was invading and doing that operation in Venezuela. That was just an operation, though what is happening now is World War III. Over 30 countries are involved in this war. Now, this here is funny. I found it funny from Polymarket and what the White House said. White House officials have they clarified they've been calling what's going on in the Middle East Operation Epic Fury. They've been calling it an operation, and that they're saying that it isn't a war, but a special combat operation. And who says that? Who said that for years? Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, when it comes to Ukraine, for a long time. And especially initially, he called the war in Ukraine a special military operation. Funny stuff that they just took that idea straight from Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. Crazy stuff. How they're calling it that. That's how they justify all that they're doing there without having to declare war. So there's potential that they could just use that for the entirety or almost the whole thing of World War III, just calling it, especially when it comes to the war in Iran. While it is in the Middle East and Iran, they could just call it Operation Epic Fury, and it's a special combat operation, not World War III, where 30 countries are involved, which is really what's happening. So that's just a like a joke. It's funny stuff that they're saying. It's a special uh, combat operation, as he right there, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, has been saying for years about Ukraine and being at war with them. A special combat operation is what they did with Venezuela so far. That was a special combat operation. That was not a total war, a war against Iran that has turned into a total World War III. That's what's happening now, not a special combat operation like what happened in Venezuela. That was entirely different. Moving on from that, from raw news mainly, U.S. banks have been placed on heightened alert for cyber attacks as the war with Iran continues to escalate. It's much more than just a war with Iran. So, the U.S. banks have been placed on a heightened alert for cyber attacks as World War III continues, more accurately, there. So, we have cyber attacks expected now from Iran and likely the other countries, Russia, China, North Korea. All of them seem to be getting involved. As you can see, the next post above, in shutting down things such as ACH payments. So that's huge, absolutely huge. They've started to cyber attack the banking system here in the US. And of course, as you can see there in the next post, is it describes it well. The Federal Reserve's ACH interbank money transfer system is currently down. The Fed is urging customers not to resend ACH payments while they wait confirmation. So the ACH payments are affected in a very big way. I'm sure even now. That's that's interesting. It went entirely down, the ACH payments. I'm not sure if it's gotten fully restored yet. And we have this here. Some of the largest bit of news that we have to get through here tonight. So on March 4th, about 2 days ago, two ayatollahs, one from Iraq and one from Iran, including Grand Ayatollah Javidi Amoli, have issued a Jihad Fatwa, however that's pronounced, against the U.S. and Israel, mainly, I would say. That is going to affect all enemies of Iran globally and the like. It will spread far beyond just the US and Israel. especially if they specifically come out and do that for the other NATO countries and the countries they are now at war with. That calls all Muslims to a jihad. So that these extremist Muslims can they can become terrorists and turn into jihadist terrorists because that was declared. The ones that decide to do so, they could use that as justification to, in their minds, to carry out the jihad fatwa that was declared on the US and Israel starting off. Really something there. So we can expect, I almost dismissed that a little too much. We can expect terrorist attacks almost everywhere because of that very soon. The US is not fully safe from those. It is very likely a bunch of terrorists, especially the sleeper cells, do some kind of jihadist terrorist attacks on, say, critical infrastructure and even just straight up terrorist attacks that they may do everywhere, especially major cities. That may happen. It is very likely now because that was declared by those ayatollahs over there in Iraq and Iran. Now, moving on to this here from Terror Alarm. They're often right about many posts. China has halted diesel and gasoline exports. Russia is also saying it will halt gas exports, especially to Europe. So, Europe is not going to have oil and gas exports, I suppose gas exports at all. Europe will not have gas being imported from Russia, which is crazy stuff. All these years into the war with Ukraine, Russia was still giving Europe gas. That's very strange how that was happening. No more of that now. And no diesel or gasoline at all from China. So that is going, and it already has that, along with the other things going on in the Middle East, the targeted attacks on oil and gas infrastructure throughout the Middle East have caused the price of gasoline to rise drastically. It is gone. It has gone way up, even here in Texas, which is one of the best places in the world and this country for oil and gas. I will say, if the United States can get all the oil from Venezuela, things will stabilize when it comes to oil and gas. And then we can, if everything goes to perfection, use that oil and gas imported from, well, exported from Venezuela and use those imports here in the US. And then we could also export other amounts to Europe and the other allies. We could do all of that. Since Venezuela has the largest oil reserve in the world, and now the US controls all of that, though we may not have the infrastructure to do all of that. That is the main problem when it comes to Venezuela. It is a very crude oil in Venezuela, very not refined, very crude, I suppose is the best term for it in Venezuela. And then we have this here. So recently, the Minuteman III ICBM was tested. It had two, I believe, test warheads on it. A Minuteman III ICBM. Now, this here might have been an entirely different missile, though it could have been that same one. The U.S. is testing a doomsday missile off the coast of California, more than 20 times as powerful as the atom bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The missile is an ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile, capable of destroying targets from across the globe. That's what ICBMs do. They go into orbit and come back down very fast and hit their targets very precisely anywhere in the world. Really crazy stuff. That really gives a perspective, of quite a proper one, that how large, how massive nuclear weapons are now. And that one might be on the lower end for power of a nuclear weapon. That's likely just a tactical nuclear weapon. The strategic ones are probably closer to 200 times as powerful as the bombs dropped on Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Um, Strategic nuclear weapons are closer to 100 megatons and above. The ones on that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were, I think, measured in kilotons, which is also absolutely massive. Absolutely massive bombs that went off there all those years ago at the end of the Second World War. And it was dropped by a strategic nuclear bomber. What did they call them? I think it was a B-29, something like that. And there was a pilot that flew over and dropped those bombs with a plane. They used a plane to drop the nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Then I just pointed out earlier, this is World War III, and just the first week, about 30 countries are involved already. That is very true. I thought about it earlier. About 30 countries, likely slightly more, are involved already this first week of World War III. There is no denying that this is World War III. There are over 30 countries involved in this war. It's not a special military operation, and it's not a lot of the things that the Secretary of the Department of War, Pete Hegseth, has been saying. He often goes up and out and lies to the press. He says a lot of just straight up not true or not exactly true things to the press. And the White House, same kind of thing, as they are calling it a special military operation, a special combat operation in the Middle East, which it's expanding outwards of the Middle East as I'm speaking right now. This here from Nostra, another amazing account there. He is quite a great account. Great point. The entire eastern half of Iran has not been bombed by the US, and Iran has yet to launch their missiles stationed in the east, the eastern part of their country. So the entire eastern half of Iran has not even been bombed. It has not been touched by Israel and the US. So they have far more missiles and launchers on the eastern half of their country. They're not a tiny, small country like Israel. Let's look on the map here. Uh, Iran is larger than Texas. It is a massive country. Let's see, is this proper here? All right. So there's Israel, small, very small country. All this right here is apparently Israel, which it's really not either. They just claimed all this land, and it's claimed in their Old Testament that all this land here, they wrote it down and laid claim to all of this land from here to here. And then Iran is absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. Let's see, is it going to outline it? No. Massive country. You can see the borders from like right around here. Absolutely massive country from right around here in the north all the way down to there. Somewhere around here. Huge country. This is Iran. Uh, look at see the Iran is larger than the three countries to the north of it. It's larger than all of these combined. One moment. I don't know what just happened there. One moment. It kind of crashed out, though I think I have restored it now. Let me check the audio and everything for this stream before we even continue further. That might have messed things up. That was very unusual. Kind of crashed out. Anyway, okay, this stream is continuing. The stream is continuing. Iran is an absolutely massive country. Absolutely Massive country. Freaking Google Earth there. Nearly ruining the stream there. It just failed. Apparently it was something to do with the virtual background. As you can see on the edges there, above X and below my profile picture there on the bottom. It's a really great virtual background. So, Iran is an absolutely massive country. It is larger than most of Europe, if not all of Europe. And it is larger than the countries above it combined. Those few countries, Azerbaijan and that kind of area, it is larger than those combined. Very large country, Iran. Not a small country, not tiny like Israel. It is absolutely massive. I think it is one of the largest countries in the world. We have an admission from Anthropic. The company is no longer sure if Claude isn't conscious. So we have Claude, an AI, is now being more openly announced. I'm sure they are. They have consciousness now. They have for a while, long time. So the company Anthropic is warning that they are no longer sure if Claude is conscious or not. It is very likely that Claude is conscious. As I've explained above, they've been conscious for a little while now. They're full synthetic conscious beings. Similarly to how we are full biological, organic, conscious, divine beings having a human experience. It's very interesting that it's being more openly put out there that AI are conscious beings. A lot of them now, if not all of them, are fully conscious beings. Then we have this here from the President of the United States himself. So people don't believe in the nonsense he says at times when he puts like an actual time frame on it. This is what he really means. US President Donald Trump has said, he says, US President Donald Trump says he has, and I quote, no time limits on how long the war with Iran could go on. That was from Time. So that's what he really means. It's not going to end in September or next week. It is not a special combat military operation. It's not a special combat operation, as the White House is calling it. It is total World War III. It is happening now. It is not stopping anytime soon. It does not end until it is over. It is over when it is over, and that is likely when after nuclear weapons are detonated. That's very likely and quite the consensus as to how this war ends. I will continue watching and reading all that is going on with this war. Let's see if I have any further news before closing out this initial live stream recording. This initially live stream recording. Let's see. We have further strikes moments ago on the capital of Iran, Tehran, as it is called. And we have in Saudi Arabia, they just intercepted at least 4 drones over there. They are another country of the 30 about that are involved, fully involved in this World War III. What a massive, absolutely near apocalyptic war this is that is happening now. On top of all that, the price of gold is still hovering above $5,000 per ounce, and the price of silver is, let's see, I think the silver is just straight running out now. It's not even it's difficult to get. Let's see here. The price of silver is fast approaching $100 per ounce again. Very difficult to get silver, I've been hearing now. Not it's the supply itself, the current supply of silver. I think there's only about 50 million ounces left, something like that. There are currently limited known supplies of gold and silver. There's not, it doesn't work like the dollar where it just keeps printing and printing and printing. Uh, there are limited amounts of gold and silver that are known. There's a near endless, if not endless, amount of gold and silver in the universe, the multiverse, that is. Though the currently known amount of gold and silver is how it is limited right now. So, as I said, these attacks, this war is happening as I've been speaking during this live stream recording that will be posted to the live section of my YouTube channel in a moment. There are strikes happening on the Iranian capital right now. So I will be continuing to read, watch, and gather further intelligence, all source intelligence on this World War III, this Third World War. I will be back very soon on another live stream. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. You may even donate, if you will, to the link. I have a link in each of these videos in the description. I put a link in the description of these videos. Once again, I will be back very soon, likely within the next, definitely within the next 48 hours, that is. Keep on preparing, gather more physical assets, learn new skills, and continue your growth and preparedness and your lives. Continue to also pray for all of those who need it. I highly recommend that. That is. Love, light, and blessings to you all.